Right. So, everyone, with everything going on, have hope and courage. Well, that's the title of this video live stream today. And I want to talk about like what I'm learning through this time and kind of my regrets and my frustration, both with myself, but also just with the movement in general. Frustration in the sense that like what can we do? Like I'm like I want to do something, but I'm just here still doing my job and just like just thinking a lot. And like thinking is fine, but only to an extent. I believe that thinking is only good to an extent, and then it becomes overthinking, and then lack of action. So anyway, there's a lot of really there's some really courageous people who are posting videos about the entire situation, who are much more knowledgeable than I am. Yeah, and I love it. It's I think there's this kind of one thing that I love about like the American church and like President Dunkley, and just how he's leading the movement is he's sharing everything he can share, and maybe a little bit extra. There's like a sense of transparency that is happening because of just because of the type of leadership President Dunkley has. And yeah, it's I think communication is like and transparency is like the most important thing of any okay, of anything. Sorry, I'm adjusting my mic. Sorry, it might cause some noise. I just realized. Okay. Yeah. Communication and transparency is something that I value deeply. Communication is key, and the desire to understand is key to good relationships. And so when you and when I have something going on, like now is not the time to be silent. I think we're forced our hand to not be silent in this moment. Silent about just what's going on in our hearts, what's going on in the movement, what's going on with our church, and then like coming to doing something about it because we're talking about it. Even just talking about it, I think is better than just thinking. Goodness. So yeah, there's some people who've like kind of just voiced their opinions, and it's just it's really great. It's really great to have an opportunity to talk and to share, like as a community, to be kind of be open and frustrated a little bit and wanting to change. Like there's one man, I'm just so frustrated sometimes because like there's a kind of a gap between the information membership knows and the information that leaders know. And it's like leaders, it's like, yeah, maybe I don't know. I hate like there's lack of transparency. Like, gosh. Anyway, I think it's because there's this fatal flaw with a lot of like people who have faith, and true parents address this, and I just I wish we addressed it more. Is like not having faith in a person, but building our faith. Like there's people who have like a pastor that they adore. The pastor is just an amazing pastor, such a good speaker, really like won the hearts of many people. And then the pastor makes a mistake. And sometimes it's a big mistake, like an affair or like some kind of like really maybe something that most people would not even call a mistake, just straight up crime. There's pastors, there's church leaders who've done that. Maybe in or outside of the movement, I don't know, but I'm just kind of thinking generally, like more outside of the movement, like a huge church pastor's amazing. Everyone respects this pastor deeply. And then the pastor commits a crime, makes a mistake, or just, gets way too caught up in his lack of love. And I feel like in those situations, a lot of people kind of lose their faith. And that's what your parents kind of addressed many times. Like, don't have faith in a person. You can't just believe in a person the same way you would believe in God, right? So, yeah, anyway, when things like this happen, we really have to cling to our faith and cling to God, cling to True Mother's and her heart and the efforts that she's done. Like, nothing, True Mother, I'm not alluding True Mother did anything. Like, just the situation that's going on now, right? I'm feeling a lot of like hopelessness, or like feeling that we've failed. And the thing is, it's not over yet. Okay, it's not over. So we can't just kind of feel bad about doing it, right? We should offer devotion, and we should speak up. I love what Japan is doing, speaking up about the experience in the church, like second generation, or giving their testimonies on the streets, right? Sharing that we're not a church meant to be pitied. The managers aren't meant to be pitied, but we're actually living a life we're really happy with. And we're not delusional about it. And anyway, that's why I'm like more willing to kind of do these live streams. It's not something that I'm practicing things that I'm saying on the internet. I'm not a great speaker, but when I'm on the internet and I'm just kind of speaking, I feel like I can share and I can give something. And my heart's been so like scared and secluded that like I'm just kind of pent up the whole bunch of things. I've learned so much through my experience on GPA and CARP, but like, having a space to share it, but also just kind of experience, to share what I'm going through right now. Maybe have it being relatable, and I don't know, just and then learning from each other. Yeah. Thank you for the comment, Aju. Yeah, so we absolute unchanging faith, right? Unchanging, absolute, just like the God we believe in. 100%. Like, I believe in a God who loves us. That's it. So many people are struggling with that. But it's not over. Not by any means. I think, anyway, that's what true parents need from us right now. So, anyway, that's yeah. Have hope, have courage. That's my determination. So this title is just for me. I'm just speaking for me. It's been a little hard, right? I feel frustrated with that. It's all part of compensation for great blood. Aju, right? There's that one holy song. How's it? That one holy song. It's probably the most sung holy song in our movement, but well, maybe not. I don't know. It's the Song of the Garden, right? The trials and our troubles here will only lead us. Wait, hold on. I can only sing it. It's like singing the ABCs. I see. And our troubles and our trials here will only make us greater there, or something like that. Oh my gosh, I can't remember it, but yeah, it's a holy song. Gosh, like when True Father was in Hungnam prison, thinking about that situation is so hopeless. Like if you're just in the midst of that situation, but True Father had hope, and I think that's like one of the most amazing things about our True parents. It's like they have hope in the most hopeless times. They believe in God in the most hopeless times. Glorious song ringing in my heart from my Father above. Yeah, Grace of Holy Garden. Aju, hold on, let me CARP songbook. I might be biased, but I think we might have like the most beautiful like congregation songs. But that's just my opinion, I guess. Okay, So our trouble and our trials here will only make us richer there. Yeah, okay, yeah. The Lord into his garden comes, the spices yield a rich perfume. The lilies grow and thrive, the lilies grow and thrive. Aju. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for thank you for the comments, Chansa. Aju. Anyway. Yeah. Our trouble and our trials here will only make us richer there. I think the essence of these holy songs are just so beautiful to have hope, right? Just like the God who wants to rescue all of us, we want to return back to God's embrace. Like the essence of the love and essence of the blessing, and what true parents mean. Nothing's changed. We actually just have to stand up, and we regret maybe we didn't stand up earlier, but it's not over yet. Yeah. So, oof, I'm pretty fired up. I'm fired up. Yeah, what the Japanese people, like there's a lot of persecution in Japan, right? Like especially with the media, and the media is just so toxic. I mean, everywhere, right? It's just so polarized, and it's just so focused on the negative things. Gosh, it sucks away your hope. Me, I think there's only one thing I know that sucks away hope, and that's Satan. Slowly, and yet somehow it kind of we fall object to it slowly and slowly. It just kind of now we're at the butt of it, the media's butthole of toxic poopy poop. Oh yeah, I think anyway, I don't know, like I feel like I'm consuming news too much, and I feel overwhelmed with what's happening, like globally, like just the polarization of America, and like, there's a lot of things that like, I'm discovering, like the assassination, Charlie Kirk, and all the reactions toward like for it. At first what happened, and then apparently like after the memorial, people were like, okay, why were so many people impacted positively by this dude? I thought he was a hater. I thought he was a racist. I thought he was a white supremacist. And then, they look beyond the sound bites. And then the sound bites actually are just sound bites. They don't explain the whole picture. And then people were actually kind of inspired by what he said. I think I was one of them. I listened to some like, oh, that's crazy. Why would he say that? That's crazy. I thought that was nuts. And I didn't really follow Charlie Kirk much until, the news about his death. And then I listen to, I have a lot of friends on both sides on Instagram. So like I'll see news like a soundbite from here, and then, like kind of people like really, sending their condolences to the Kirk family. And it was like it made me really freaking curious. And then like, yeah, I mean, at first I was like, well, that's kind of crazy thing to say, Mr. Kirk. Like that'd be a crazy thing to say if that was the only thing he said, but it wasn't. And it's like kind of right. We can really skew, and like I think mainly like our desire to understand deeply what's going on. It's just such a great practice all around, everywhere. I think I can say like without a doubt, my biggest regret in high school, or no, even like just my biggest regrets in my life is that I said something without understanding. And maybe that's here too. Maybe I'm saying things that, I don't quite understand yet. But like, I've said things to some people before really understanding their heart, or before, understanding their situation. And I said some things that weren't helpful at all. Completely, yeah, unhelpful. Just not helpful at all. Anyway, and it's one of the, it's definitely lessons that I had to take kind of hard. But yeah, like understanding the full picture is so important. And I think media doesn't really do that for us mostly. Like we really have to research. Because media is it's through a filter, right? It's through a filter of their perspective. And a lot of times it's kind of, it's filtered, right? In some way. The bad comments about True Mother are a challenge. Yeah, because they don't understand, right? The Korean news, I bet, is just so hard. I mean, I'm living in Japan right now, and I'll catch a glimpse of what the news is saying about our church and like what the events are happening. Just ignorant of Japan's accomplishments and what like their actual desire is. So a lot of these people are too good to be true, right? in a lot of sense, true parents are like really, in some way, too good to be true. Someone who really cares about peace and puts everything into it. It's like there has to be some dirt on them, right? Like there has to be something. And then it's like, when a leader does something or a past leader, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the full situation. And honestly speaking, my deepest belief is really to have sympathy for everybody and have love for everybody. I think that's what your parents really taught me. Just really have sympathy, right? So like anyone who makes a mistake, like there's one phrase that like hurt people. There's some kind of pain that was there that someone is so hurt that they'll cause pain on somebody else, and like there's just like some kind of, anyway. So that's one thing, but at the same time, like it's just I think as a community we really need to stick together, and that's High Noon's the whole thing, right? It's to be a community, to solve our struggles and our problems together, whether that's through sexual integrity, like coming together as groups and coming and sharing and overcoming, or even in times like this where we are challenged really by all the negative comments, and to be given that opportunity to speak up and to give each other courage. Yeah, there's this video that I was shown years ago I'm thinking about now. It's basically a dude. It's like a social experiment. It's really a social experiment. This dude is just dancing like crazy on the street, like a wild man. He's going like this, like on the beach alone. Just one dude. Kind of like, I don't know. It's a really funny dance. And everyone's just kind of looking at him weird. Kind of like, what the heck is this guy doing? It's kind of cringe, or like, I don't know. And then a second dude jumps in and joins him and starts dancing and then it's two guys joining. And then eventually a third guy joins, and then a fourth person. And then soon after that second person joins, the whole beach is starting to dance, have like a whole dance party, like just a bunch of strangers. The title of the video is How Movements Are Created. It might be a TED Talk. It might be a TED Talk. Yeah. But I think and that's like, we can take away from something like we can take something away from that. Right. If one of us speaks up and someone can join them and give them encouragement, give each other encouragement, our voices can be louder than the media and the comments. Like, the things that they're saying is not true. That is not my experience. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, what am I so afraid of? What's holding me back from like posting on Instagram more? Oh, that guy's a Moonie. Like, oh, a fear to explain more. Like, dude, that's it's like the whole point of witnessing. to explain like the deep love of God that we discovered because of these people who we call our true parents, right? Anyway, I just yeah, I think there's a lot of like something that I want to do. Just speaking up is a huge action and it takes a lot of courage, really, and to hope that someone like will hear us and that's exactly what they need to hear and they're prepared by God. I don't know. I'm just parents are amazing, and like people they meet or the people that they meet them like in person, because there's some kind of I don't know. There's some kind of detachment, right? If either it's some kind of idolization that happens if you're kind of far away, which I've seen with many members, just because it happens like idolization, right? Like, and it's a little strange. And true parents actually talk about it. It's like don't idolize us, like we're true parents and like their position is amazing. It's needed, right? They're true parents, but like to kind of take it to the next level and then to like just hear something and that, right? It's like a slight detachment. That's why it's so important to connect to the essence of your parents. Anyway, it's confusing, right? It's what so many Christians have done with Jesus, right? Idolize Jesus. It's like, dude, in that time period, like what I'm taught is that in that time period, he was a carpenter's illegitimate son. Everyone kind of knew, right? He was kind of a like illegitimate. Something's not quite right with that guy. He's a carpenter. That's a lower position, right, in society. And then for the longest time, right, he wasn't married. That was weird. He was a weird dude. And then he had the audacity to speak out against rabbis and different Jewish leaders, right? Like just thinking of like in that like anyway, like that kind of perspective is like I don't know. Would if a Christian who like idolized Jesus today saw him at that time, like would they have realized he was the Messiah? Well, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? I'm kind of treading off guard here. I think a little bit off topic, but anyway, I feel that like we have to pray, kind of connect with God personally in our heart, deeply. Like true parents today, like that's how we can do it. We need to speak up about our faith and connect, right? The whole purpose of unification movement isn't to be our own faith. I think that's something we forget often too. Right? We're called unificationists, where we want to unify the world under one God, different expressions of faith. True parents see the beauty in that. So anyway, yeah, I just yeah. So I'm kind of going everywhere now, but that's just how it's anyway, that's just where that's how my thinking is. I'm just speaking out loud. Yeah. What's like ASMR? Anyway, I'm yeah, I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking about. Thanks for tuning in. Chunsa, thank you. Yeah, guys. Anyway, your comments mean so much. I think just some give and take. Give and take is so good. It's so beautiful. The give and receive action. Pew, pew. Oh, it's more like this, right? Give and receive action. A 4-position foundation. I will say I just recently attended a 40-day workshop in Cheongpyeong, and the lectures are just so deep now. It's not just straight like DP, like just information. It's so much more emotional, and it connects to the heart. And like I think because of like the foundation of high noon, and the things that I've learned because of the experience of like on like practicing 5 virtues, like I really like I feel like I can really get it, but also just like I don't know, it's so deep. It's so deep. Can I share? I'm not gonna get in trouble if I share a little bit, but maybe hopefully, right? I shouldn't, right? Maybe if it's wrong. So if I interpreted it wrong, but anyways, I can maybe share like some of the things that I was moved by, and yeah, like for example, one of the big things that I really felt like just recently meaning like the past few years, like there's this author. His name is author doctor. And he's a doctor who, I guess, wrote about his work and experience. So now he's an author, I guess. But his name is Gabor Mate, and I discovered him through a brother in CARP. Say his name, Tim Kiluba. If you at Tim Kiluba. Anyway, he's dude. I love that guy. Tim is. I miss him so much. Tim. Anyway, yeah, he helped me so much. He helped me grow a lot. Such a good older brother. Yeah. Anyway, what am I saying? So he got into this documentary, and this doctor, his name is Gabor Mate. That doctor was part of a documentary kind of thing. It's called The Wisdom of Trauma. You can watch it for free for like a donation, but you can put donation for 0 and you'll have access for like 48 hours. But through that kind of foundation, wisdomoftrauma.org or .com or something. And it's not necessarily promotion, but it's just like I recommend it because it really anyway, basically generational trauma was something that like was a huge thing that I've been into, and that was like one of the things that like I recognize, like that helped me recognize that the whole idea and the whole topic a little bit more deeply. It's like that documentary Wisdom of Trauma is more towards like our own lifetime's trauma, but yeah, like apparently it's kind of like a generational thing that like it accumulates, like the stress that a parent has before like conceiving a child is actually like kind of transmitted, and it affects the temperament of the child. So like having a really like peaceful and like grounded mind while trying to conceive, and during the pregnancy, both parents having a really like a peaceful and loving kind of excited or beautiful heart, right? I kind of the connotation around that. It's just that, right? Like it transfers to the child. It's a temperament, right? So like if you imagine being really angry the whole pregnancy, like that child will be so like stressed and angry, and then there's a behavior that we pick up, right, as children from our parents and from the environment around us that's affected because of generationally. But it's like it's a whole thing that actually my dad was really excited about this, and at the time he was excited about it, I couldn't really understand it. The topic was epigenetics, and like kind of our genome, like being like certain aspects of our genetics like being unlocked or locked because of like certain experiences, and it's like that kind of alteration that happens because of like external things that really actually have an effect on us. Okay, that might be wrong, but that's just my idea of it and what I understand. Like the concept of like generational trauma. And so the whole thing I'm talking about is actually like the Changpyeong workshop material. So yeah, just instead of looking at just the failures and then the events of like the history of the human history. So divine principle starts from Adam and Eve, and then it goes to Cain and Abel, then it goes to Noah, then it goes right, and then Abraham, and then Isaac, Jacob, and then that lineage, and eventually to Moses. And we kind of talk about like actually the importance of that emotionally. So straight up from the divine principle, it's what is it like? Just straight up information. This is what happened. This is the result of it. This is what happened. This is the result. If they had done this would have been better. I think like since True Mother's, I don't know, guidance or some kind of like just hope for us to understand the essence of like how important the true mother is, and how important like Heavenly Mother is, right? And there's a whole bunch of like nuances in these relationships that we see in the Bible and in divine principle, like explained in divine principle from the Bible. But some of these lecturers actually really prayed and dug deep into the emotional aspect of what's happening in this family. And I think true parents really get it. Like, because I read a speech from True Father saying like how deeply, and I think he explained it in his autobiography, that he deeply prayed to understand Adam's position, what it was like to be in his shoes, deeply understand the emotional weight of the fall, and to be seduced by Eve, who led to the fall and led to eating the fruit, and then to have children like Cain and Abel, and then to be in Cain's position, Abel's position. And I think True Father really put in that effort, right, and that devotion to understand every providential figure in history, their mistakes, and what led to those mistakes, and understanding their heart and their position. And I think like these lectures are finally kind of getting it too, and are helping me, someone like me, understand it. So I think I talked about this in a previous stream, but let's just like look at Adam's family. The first right family that it's talked about in the Bible. Well, first we have Adam and Eve, and then we have the family Cain and Abel. Okay, so let's just take a look at this situation after the fall. So, right, from the divine principles perspective, we see that, or we are taught that, right, the fall was an illicit sexual relationship. So basically, Adam and Eve were told not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And then what happened was they ate the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And that fruit was not just a fruit, it was a relationship. It was their heart, it was their love. Okay, the fruit was their love. And like it wasn't like saved, it wasn't ripened, it was prematurely given because of the temptations of Archangel Lucifer, right? So we talk about this. That's I don't know, if you're a Mooney, right? This is kind of like just what was happening. But what they're teaching is that, okay, so imagine, right? Eve has sexual relationship with the Archangel. They have that relationship. Eve is scared, scared, doesn't know what to do, and she is pretty much cut off from God because of the shame that she feels. Then she goes to Adam because that's probably her lifeline, right? If I'm with Adam, who I'm supposed to be with, then it should be all right. And then so Eve does exactly what the Archangel did to her, to Adam. And then Adam feels played. And right, and then God comes to the garden. And then here's where like bottom base, right? So God comes to the garden. God says, hey, where are you? Right? Because Adam and Eve are hiding from God in shame. They're shameful. They made a mistake, and they realize they're naked. That's another point. So they're scared, shamed, and naked, and like in their eyes, they realize they're naked. I mean, they're shameful of it. Then God asks, "Where are you?" And then they come out and it's like, "Yeah, we're hiding." Why are you hiding? It's because we ate the fruit tree knowledge. Like, did you? God asks, "Did you eat of the fruit that I told you not to eat from?" And then immediately Adam says, not just, yeah, like I'm sorry, like I gave into the temptation, and then like I want to try to fix this. No, Adam says, like that's not what Adam said. Adam says, God, it was because of the woman you put here that I fell. It was because of you, right? So just imagine that situation. Adam is, yeah, feeling shameful, feeling hurt, feeling afraid, and defensive, probably. And then blames God. God, is because of the woman you put here, right? So imagine, right, first how Eve felt and how God felt. So like that's kind of the depth that we're talking about with the lectures that that I heard in Chungpyeong. What did God feel when Adam said that, right? God, being the parental figure that we come to know who God is, right? The parental figure, imagine just being a parent and your child like just blames you because of a mistake they did. First of all, yeah, it hurts. And second, there's no like saving that situation. Like, and the gravity of the fall is much more heavy than just, like mommy, it was your fault because it was juice you gave me. Like, whoa. Okay. It's like, yeah, there's a lot we can do about it. But in that like anger and shame, like out of God's love and what God can do, like there's nothing God can relate with there. And he can just say, I'm sorry, right? He can just take a blame. And I think God's heart is just like, that of an absolute parent. And really needs us to take, and because of their portion of responsibility, needs us to take responsibility. And then we can work together on it. But if we can't take responsibility, we're completely alone. So anyway, what I just spewed out there, I think that's just my own opinion and my own observation, my own conclusion. But I don't think it's baseless. But at the same time, I think it's anyway. Maybe there needs to be some review here. I'm not following any script, so if I say something just because my grammar is wrong or something, it's anyway. Yeah, but just imagine, right, how Adam was feeling that moment. So shameful. I would be like so afraid. He made a huge mistake. He did the one thing that God told him not to do. And so, yeah, I mean, to kind of like shift that blame, to push, I think would be kind of the default way to handle that, right? God's heart wasn't, or not God's heart, Adam's heart wasn't fully mature yet. That's like the whole thing. That's the whole point. Right? So because of that situation, there's a lot of resentment there. And then God had no choice but to, punish them, probably to keep them from, completely falling into the devil's hands, right? To have some way, right? Because we talk about indemnity, and I think there's some aspect of like, there needs to be some saving grace. So it's like, okay, well, if like, oh my gosh, I'm going in so many different directions because I want to talk about something else. Just like, but I can get so easily lost. But yeah, like that, like slight, like, here's a consequence for what you did, right? Sometimes it's necessary. And sometimes it's just what our immature hearts can handle, right? Because it takes a lot of maturity, courage, and right, like grit. I don't know, like that kind of. I'm gonna do it, like I'm gonna take responsibility. I'm gonna own up to this. It takes a lot to do that, and I don't think Adam nor Eve were in the mature state to be able to take that. So, anyway, what am I talking about? So, the nature of the family and the emotional state of the family. Okay, they talk about, so in the lecture they talk about the emotional state of the family. And so we start talking about Cain and Abel and their relationship and the result of, like what happened, right? So we can go into the details. You know, Abel made offerings, Cain couldn't offer because of his position, right? But what happened, right? Cain killed Abel. First murder in human history, in the meaning of God, right? Or in God's history, the history of human beings. So true parents have talked about this, and I think that's where the lectures are kind of getting it from. It's like, where the heck did Cain learn that kind of abusive, right? Because Cain, I don't know, he murdered Abel, right? I was probably from a stone. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, it's a story, but right. Cain killed Abel with a stone. He hit Abel. He hit him. Okay. So first of all, where did he learn that behavior and how to handle that kind of because Cain was frustrated. He was alone. He was frustrated. He was alone. He was probably scared, and he was really, really angry. So, where did he learn to deal with anger like that? Anger is a natural response. I think it's even godly, right? It's a protection response. If someone's threatening you, you get angry, you get make yourself right? It's a defensive thing, but it's just it's something that disappears when when the threat is gone. And then it's not just there's healthy ways to handle anger. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And then there's also unhealthy ways of handling anger. And so what did Cain learn? He learned. He had to learn. There's no other way, right? It's the way we grow. So he had to learn the immature and the unhealthy way to handle anger, which was through violence, right? Through hitting, through killing, right? If my anger will be resolved if I kill my brother. That's what he really felt. Where did he learn that? And then none other than his parents, Adam and Eve, right? Because of the fall, Adam probably had a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, a lot of immaturity. And what do you think? How do you think he handled Eve? All lovingly and oh yeah, we fell, but I still love you. And they were probably not the ideal couple at all. Okay. Anyway, Adam was probably very abusive towards Eve. Very. And then what do you think the relationship between Eve and her children were? Was it I'll protect you and I'll love you? And, I'm sure there's some really unhealthy things going on in that relationship. First of all, there's probably no respect towards, Adam because, Adam was an abusive, there's nothing to respect in some sense, right? Eve probably wasn't defending Adam, or maybe if she was, it was kind of off-putting for Cain and Abel. So that that whole dynamic of a family isn't quite, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Just it's unfamiliar from situation we'd see today. Right? It was, and then that's the whole point, right? The whole point of the need for restoration, right? It's it's because of that whole situation there. And it's not just that family, but it's the thing that, it's been carried on and on and on and spread through all of humanity, the struggles. And that's why we need true parents, an ideal couple, to really practice true love and to restore that love, to restore the family. And so that's why high noon, right? To get ready before the blessing, to really become mature, to get ready to love someone deeply. And something that it doesn't happen through experience of multiple relationships, of romantic relationships, but really saving yourself for a special one. There's so many layers in that story, so many layers. And I think finally we're unpacking emotional aspect. And then, there's probably some psychological aspect too, that I don't have any qualifications to talk about. Yeah. But just repeating what that says, this is, And then they talk about Noah's family. Noah. So Noah, right? If you know that situation, so right, overall story, Noah was a good guy. He's probably just decent compared to the people around him. He was amazing. Okay, he really believed in God, and God came to him and said, "I need you to build an ark. Okay, it's gonna flood, and and then basically, Noah's like, okay, I'm gonna build an ark, no matter how long it takes. I'm gonna finish by this day. How long it takes? It's gonna take 120 years. Okay, and then he keeps up with it through all that time, right? He showed tremendous faith. But yeah, it's mentioned in that lecture, and it's not mentioned in the Bible. Noah's wife's name. She was so insignificant in that story. Why is that? Right? Let's think of a dynamic. Okay, so later, after the flood, after they land, right? There was this like type of shame that was present with Noah. So like the mistake in Noah's family was that Ham and Sheph, the brothers, they walked in backwards in the tent because their dad was naked and drunk. And yeah, he's like, there's a lot of things like, oh, he shouldn't have been drunk, or there's things that, lots of different things. But basically the main mistake was that the remnants of the fall, right? The shame behind nakedness still existed. And there's a deeper layer that we can go to, which was like, the relationship between the family, okay? The family dynamic. And so if we go back to when Noah was building the ark, the townsfolk were laughing at him and making fun of him, didn't understand what he was doing. And Noah was the village weirdo because he was dedicating his life to this ark. And so that must have been really hard for Noah's wife to be the wife of the village weirdo. And so do you think she gave in to the village scrutiny, right? How about the kids, right? And so in the Bible, there's no support for any, there's no I think any like written thing about it, any support that Noah's wife like gave to Noah. Not zero, like that she's unnamed. She's just present, right? And so like there's no like supportive figure for Noah. Noah is completely alone. And so like what kind of narrative do you think Noah's wife was giving to their kids? For the result to be right after, walking in shameful of their dad, embarrassed of their dad's nakedness. Okay. Even after he saved their life, dedicating 120 years of his life to build an ark, to save their life, after a prophecy coming true, they still feel shame for him. So that's not something that's like, just out of like, just come out of nowhere. No, it's something we can probably dig deep into. So, and then that's like, basically the essence of this lecture is the importance of the mother and child relationship to support the dad in this story. So basically, right, the relationship between mom and the kids, right? Mom had no respect for, because he was a village weirdo, had no respect for her husband. Because kind of like, imagine having wife tell her, or having mom tell her kids like, dad is crazy right now. Don't be near him. Don't like, anyway, he's crazy. Don't be near him, or like, don't interact with him. Don't do any of that. Like, don't interact with dad. Don't be like your dad. Okay, like that kind of narrative toward, from the kids to now impacted their relationship with their dad. So, right, imagine growing up with a mom who completely does not respect her husband, and there's no support, even though he's doing God's work, even though he eventually saves her life. That like belief is that he's crazy is still there. Why would they be disrespecting him so much? Like, oh, he's naked, okay, whatever. Like in his tent, he's drunk. Let's, he might be cold. Let's cover him up. But the fact is, they walked in backwards because of the shame. They covered him because he's naked. Not out of love, but out of disrespect. Right? So, like, anyway, it's like that. Where do they learn that behavior? Why do they see their dad like that? So disrespectfully. It's because the relationship between husband and wife wasn't good. Noah dedicated his life to building the ark. He didn't, and he was probably very serious about it, and that was commendable. Right? That was his faith. But the relationship between husband and wife really impacted the kids, which eventually led to the failure. And that's why mom and dad are so important. That's why True Mother actually, oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm just talking about so much, but basically, anyway, that is there. And then, through every victory that we see in the Bible, we see mother and child relationship when it was united, and when they actually had a loving relationship, when the parents had a really good, respected relationship. So yeah. So, for example, one of the huge victories was Isaac being the sacrifice, right? Abraham and Sarah and Isaac. So that was there was one failure, but then there ended up being a victory, right? So, gosh, okay, I think this is the last story I'll go into, but because I think you get the point. But I want to talk about something positive. So it was a victory in providence. So, right, Abraham, kind of, his dad was an idol maker, so he was blasphemous. What's what I want to? Anyway, basically, right. Abraham abandoned his life to follow God, and then he had a wife. Her name was Sarah, and then they went through a whole bunch of stuff, but eventually, they were so old, and but they didn't have any children, and they were really sad, and then eventually God blessed them with a child, named him Isaac. And then so Abraham one day had to make an offering to God, and that offering was defaced because he couldn't quite finish the offering. And we can go through that, the whole nuances behind, what tools did they have back in the day. And the fact is how they offered was just so tremendously tiring, right? If you imagine the tools that they had, which is probably a stone knife or some kind of really dull metal blade, I don't know, some kind of really primitive, right, technology, cutting an animal in half, because that's just how, right, that's how offerings were made, this lengthwise. So it wasn't just quick, but lengthwise. So he must have been exhausted. That nuance, right? Anyway, I kind of explained the whole thing. He was exhausted, but he didn't finish the offering. And because he couldn't finish the offering, it was defaced and taken by Satan. And then God gave the opportunity, right, to restore that offering by having Abraham offering his son Isaac. Okay. And so I think I don't know if this is common knowledge, but we talk about how kind of deferring this, this story and kind of looking into it. Isaac was told to carry wood, through the whole story of Isaac being offered. First of all, Abraham didn't tell Isaac, I'm offering you to God. Okay. Secondly, Isaac was told to carry the wood for the burnt offering. Okay, meaning, right, it's a pretty significant amount of wood, and because he was given a task, he wasn't young. I mean, he was young, but he wasn't young. He wasn't a little child, right? He was enough to carry his weight plus wood up a mountain. Okay, you wouldn't ask a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, right? You'd ask maybe 10, 14, 15-year-old, probably, right? Kind of more developed, middle of puberty, right? To be able to handle that kind of work up a mountain, to carry a bundle of wood up a mountain. It's not easy, and it's not something and so he had some cognitive ability. Okay, he asked his dad, "Hey, Dad, where's the ram that we're offering?" Because usually they carry the ram up the mountain. That's what normally happens for this type of offering. It was a regular thing. It wasn't abnormal. Okay, but what was abnormal was, There's no offering. We don't have an offering here. That's weird. Okay. So we think about the relationship that they had. Okay. So they're up on the mountain. There's the there's the offering table. And then what happens is Isaac, right? Isaac lies down and is giving himself. He's not fighting his dad. It's like, Dad, what the hell are you doing offering me? No, right? He's completely offering himself. And through Abraham's like belief to offer his only son and to believe that God's going to make something out of it, but also Isaac's willingness to be the offering and to trust his dad and to trust God. Okay. So where did that, that just didn't happen. It had to come from somewhere. Right. And so, we don't really so what was left out of that, what my just monologue here, was that the relationship between Sarah and Abraham and Sarah and Isaac, right? So there's the deep relationship there that existed to where Abraham was actually really respected by Sarah, was really loved by Sarah. She loved Abraham, right? So there's a nuance in this story where before they thought they could conceive, and before they were told by God to, that they can conceive a child and have tremendous faith to do that because they're really old. Right? Their first option was, okay, well, if we want to conceive a child, I'm gonna, let's conceive a child through the maid, and then they did, but Sarah really hated that idea. Yeah. Right? And so if you love your husband, you don't like that idea. That makes sense. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that Isaac was conceived out of the love between Sarah and Abraham. And when Abraham and Sarah were raising Isaac, it wasn't just like Abraham, this weird dude. He believes in this God, and I don't know, they both believe in God and they both love God. And they're both blessed with Isaac to have God. So there's this huge beauty behind their relationship. Is that the right way to say it? But anyway, basically, right, Sarah taught Isaac to love and respect and to believe in Abraham. Right? Boom. It's that's just how it is. Through her actions and their relationship, or through her actions and her relationship with Abraham and her relationship with Isaac, she raised Isaac to be someone who can believe in their parents, believe in their love, believe in the God that they believe in. Right? So that's the foundation that Isaac had to be able to believe in Isaac and the offering. Because, I don't know, if I was 15, my dad tried to kill me and say, this is for God. Okay, that takes tremendous faith. Tremendous. I'm not no downplaying. That is complete surrender, right? I don't even know if I can do that, So that's just the nuance. Actually, that's how much faith Isaac had, not in just God, but in his dad, in his parents. So anyway, that's that's that. And so when I'm thinking about the essence of the blessing and what your parents are teaching us, it's just there's no other way. The blessing is so important, and to have successful, beautiful blessings, that if there's conflict, we handle it beautifully. That we grow from that. We actually end up loving our spouse more because of the conflicts, right? And so the seeking to understand is my whole goal in every, if there's a conflict my wife and I have, or some misunderstanding or some pain, my goal isn't to be to defend myself or to, it's to really understand her heart. I don't call her honey, but normally, but I'll just say in the story, I'll just say, honey, I'm sorry. Wait, what was it that I did, or what happened? How did you feel? What led up to that? And just hearing her out, and then saying, well, I'm sorry, and then And then maybe hopefully having a good, like, she's a great spouse. She hears how I felt too. Or like I can, the fact is we can open up to each other about it and trust each other. And that's not just a foundation of trust that we've, kind of just got to. Like we had to build up to it. So like, yeah, that's High Noon. Like High Noon helped me do that. Because High Noon helped me understand the beauty behind the blessing, and really like the meaning of what it means to have God in the middle of it, right? Like God's love and grace, and like actually what we're here not to be, we're here not to like, oh, how do I say this? We are here to be happy, but it's not, we're not here to like be happy just for ourselves. No, I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. I'm not here to be happy just for myself. I want to really help her achieve happiness. I want to be happy myself so that I can be a good husband and elevate her happiness. She's happy by herself, but there's a certain ceiling of happiness we can achieve just by ourselves. When we have someone who really wishes happiness on us, like really deep happiness for each other, it's just something that ceiling of happiness increases. And eventually, like, yeah, we'll have kids. And I will want those kids to be so happy. That's a huge desire of mine. To be a good dad, right? To be good parents. Everyone has that desire, right? It's natural. We're so easily moved, right? By like, either like, the regret or the frustrations, like I didn't have good parents. Or, like a lot of people feel that way. My parents weren't perfect, but they actually did their best, and I can recognize what they did well. And I want to emulate that. And I want to do even better than that. Whole essence of the blessing. So like, I'm here for the blessing because I believe in it. I had a really difficult conversation with Benji before starting my process with my wife, or before we even met. I had gone through several processes. Man, my story is just nuts, but I had a lot of ups and downs. But basically, like, I was in the middle of a process, and my dad passed away. And basically, like, I was in this process, and I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling connected with his sister, and that's okay. That's okay. I personally wasn't feeling connected, but I was afraid to hurt her. So I was wasting both of our time by continuing, because like I kind of already made up in my mind, I don't know about this sister. And whether you agree with that or not, that's just how I was feeling it. Like, yeah, maybe I could have kept going, and we probably could have made a beautiful relationship or whatever, but I wasn't feeling it. My heart, my spirit wasn't there, and my dad passed away. That was like some time where I really took a step back from blessing and any like, relationship. I really grieved my dad's passing. Then, right after several months, going to Ocean Challenge, having a beautiful experience, highly recommend Ocean Challenge, and like with a really clear intention. I felt like, like I could start up again. And then I talked with Benji. He wanted to hear about like, my process with, my dad's passing, and just kind of like how I processed it and my experience of it. I think he's just really, empathetic guy, but also just, he's really curious. And like, he was mentioning how he hadn't experienced any personal loss in his life. And so just to hear about it, he wanted to hear about it. And he knew it would be valuable for him. And then eventually we started talking about like the blessing process and how I was in the middle of one, and like, I wasn't feeling good about it. And it's like not personal, right? It's just I wasn't feeling good about it. I ended it, and then like, yeah. Then Benji. So this is the difficult part. Then Benji asked me a difficult question, and basically it was like I was on the edge of like kind of should I start or not? Another matching process. And I was afraid. I was like, yeah. I was afraid I was being held back by something. And he asked me what I was afraid of. And then, yeah, basically, like I've seen a lot of blessed couples fight a lot, and the fights weren't so productive, right? And they didn't seem like they were in the happiest situation. It seemed like it was really hard. Actually, the blessing seemed really hard and scary, and I was afraid of potentially my blessing breaking, or like it's just being so hard every day, and I couldn't feel connected to my wife. And then that's just what it was. Okay, like that was my fear. I was really afraid of breaking the blessing or having a really, really hard blessing and not feeling loved or not being able to love my wife because it was so hard and all we're doing is fighting. And then he asked me, like, Seiji, like, say that worst case scenario plays out. Like, okay, you're blessed. Maybe before kids, maybe after having kids. You are fighting with your wife every day. And it's hard. Or maybe in a different situation, your blessing breaks. You can't take it or she can't take it anymore and you break your blessing. What are you going to do? And he asked me that. And I was like, yeah, that's a hard question. What am I going to do? And it broke something in me, like a concept, right? Like this image of the blessing being like perfect. And what does perfect mean? You know? And it made it very clear to me. First of all, number one is I believe in the blessing 100%. There's like the essence of the blessing is I believe in it, right? To create beautiful, radiant, blessed family. Period. I believe in the blessing. Meaning, if I was in that situation and we found it, like my wife and I, we found it better, like for both of us to break it, and we broke it, what would I do? And then, yeah, he's like, Benji asked, like, would you get blessed again? Because I was kind of stun locked. I was like, well, frick, what would I do? Like, that's like worst case scenario. What would I do? You know? And then, so because I was stun locked, he kind of nudged me a little bit. And Benji asked me, like, would you be willing to get blessed again? Would you try again? And I was like, oh, frick. And then, yeah, after that break happened inside of me, the concept breaking, I realized that, yeah, like the blessing, like because I believe in it, I would get blessed again. I would try again because I believe in it so much. And then, so like when I kind of faced that fear, it became very clear to me that like I really want to give everything to my, like, for my blessing, like everything. So like that was the kind of mindset that like I suddenly, like, from being I don't know, to being fully committed, not to like a person but to the blessing, allowed me to be fully committed to my wife. And basically it's like, no matter what, I'm going to make this work out, no matter what. So like I'm going to be the best husband I can be. And there's no time to feel bad about myself or feel bad. And yeah, we've had difficult conversations, and we've had conversations where I wanted to run away. Every cell in my body, I wanted to just leave the apartment and take a walk, but I didn't, right? And maybe sometimes those are needed, those moments where just kind of like I need to separate. But we weren't like heated. We weren't fighting. But yeah, we had a difficult conversation. Every cell of my body wanted to leave. I wanted to get the hell out of that conversation. Gosh, it was like, I wanted to defend, I wanted to blame, but I'm like, this is not what the blessing is about. I don't want to repeat mistakes that happened in the past. So I'm gonna change. And yeah, Hainun helped me with this, but like I've talked about this in different posts you can see on Instagram or on YouTube Shorts, like the different podcasts that I've been in with like Andrew. But like number one, like kind of foundation that I had was my parents, right? So like my dad had his history of being abused and being beat by my dad. But my dad had a history of being abused by his dad. Okay, it was, and then you look into it further, and there's another layer. But my grandfather got beat by his dad, right? Like even more severely, it seems like, from what I heard from my dad. But yeah, my dad had a very difficult relationship with his dad. Very difficult. His mom actually was very loving. He had a really amazing mom, and I think that's what saved him. But yeah, my dad had a very difficult relationship with his dad, and it was a commitment that my dad had. So my dad didn't actually really want a family. He couldn't see himself having kids. He didn't want to pass on the same experiences, or to have, like, if this is what my son or my experience was, I don't want to pass it on, right? He committed to that. He was like, I didn't really see myself having a family, or yeah, like, but he always saw himself like having, like, he wanted to get married, but he didn't want to have kids. But then he met the church. And then he met your parents, and then he got the blessing. And so yeah, he learned about the parallels of history. He learned about the divine principle, and then basically, like, he learned about your parents' love and God's love deeply. And I have to say, like, this is like the biggest, like, my dad was not a perfect dad. He made so many mistakes. He had a temper. He yelled at me, and I cried, but he never hit me, ever. Not once. I don't have any memory. Like, I dug deep into it. No memory of him hitting me or being abusive. Like, yeah, sure, he got angry. He had a temper, but he never hit me. And that is just like, yeah, like, every time I talk about this, it's just my deepest respect. So, like, yeah, I have 3 older siblings, and they're significantly older than I am. I'm the youngest by 10 years. So, like, me and my closest brother were 10 years apart. So they had a very early experience. And then my dad matured a lot as a dad. And then they had me. And I think, like, my experience is very different from actually my siblings' experiences, because my parents were really growing. And so in that sense, I'm actually really lucky. But yeah, my oldest brother, back when my dad was a brand new dad, right? My oldest brother did something naughty, and my dad spanked him. And my dad hated it. Like, it was like traumatic for my dad to spank my brother. My brother was okay. He was a brand new dad, so probably like 3, 4, 5 years old. And my dad spanked him, and he was crying. My dad was crying, probably more than his son, more than my brother, because he hated it. He's like, and he made that commitment. He said, I'm never, ever hitting my kids again, no matter what, right? Like, he'll raise his voice, he'll do that, but he won't ever hit them. And that is like, that is boom, restoration in the family right there. Like, in our family, like, I can see that. Yeah, my dad wasn't perfect, but that one point is like, it can happen because of true parents, because of the blessing, because of this commitment, this love. Like, it can change. It can become better, and it will take generations. Maybe it'll take one problem at a time, but it'll take generations to solve these problems, but it can happen. And so this is like, I want to share this. This is my experience with Family Federation, and this is why I love True Mother. This is why I love True Parents and True Father, and I love the divine principle, because I want to share that. My dad was transformed, and now my own relationship with my wife is probably much better because of it. And I can see things so much more clearly. It's because it's all about love. It really is, deep down, it's all about it. It's about the lack of love and how we've been hurt over generations and generations. So I want to love better, right? And there's things that just don't solve love at all. People have AI girlfriends because that's how they fix their problems now. But it's like, that's not how you're going to fix your problem. It can't. It can't, because God isn't there. Right? Porn and masturbation, people try to solve their pain and loneliness from that, and it just doesn't work because God isn't there. There's no generational trauma that's being healed through porn. None. You can't heal through it. That's why it's such a hindrance, because you think, right? And it's like, it's nothing to be ashamed of if you're struggling with it. It's just, let's help you out of that mud. Because I've been there too. So anyway, just circling back, like, I am so much happier now because of what I've experienced and what I've learned and what I can attest to. So I really hope we can all testify to, like how much better our lives would be, you know, how much better our lives are because of the blessing, because of two parents. Like, deeply, I believe that. Now I'm in Japan now. My Japanese is subpar. It's like a child. My mom, or not my mom. I mean, my mom actually probably feels this way as well. My wife thinks my Japanese is really cute because it's so childish. It's like a kid who speaks, or like when I'm writing a text message, it's like a kid. Yeah. So I'm not going to be testifying on the streets of Japan, but like, I really, yeah, I think it's time for me to step up. I have a lot to share because I felt so much love through my experiences in this church, or church and movement or community. You know, I'm one of those kids who had a really great time at church, at summer camps. Maybe that helped me a lot too. Now I wasn't the greatest kid, but I was, yeah, I had a really positive experience many times through, yeah, the summer camps. And I know, like, this generation, you know, the kids that I went to GPA with are now leading, you know, these summer camps, and I just think that's, yeah, I think that's amazing and wonderful, and like creating a sense of community and brotherhood, sisterhood. You know, I think, yeah. Wow. Well, it's already been an hour and a half, and it didn't feel like that long. I've just been talking. This is one of the easier things about live streams. I can just talk, and I don't have to edit. When I make a video, my perfectionist in me like looks at the video and is like, oh geez, I can't make a video out of this. But, or it's like, yeah, I make a video and it takes so long. Because, yeah, first of all, yeah, making trying to speak well, I get really self-conscious about that. And then editing takes a while. All the ums, and I have to work on that. Like, yeah, so that's a big one. Anyway is a big one. Anyway is a huge filler for me. Jeez, I have to, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I feel a lot of courage. I feel a lot of hope right now. I'm just talking to the camera, but if you're watching, thank you for watching. Seeing how many views there are, I just, it gives me encouragement. You know, it's like that beach. It's like that beach analogy, where, you know, just dancing alone, it's kind of just weird, and it takes a lot of courage to keep going. But to see those views and to see the comments, thank you. It gives me hope and encouragement, and your comments mean a lot. So yeah, engagement, making a community like that that's the key. Yeah, struggling in a blessing or struggling alone is not worth it. It's so hard. Thank you. Is it live only on Instagram? No, we're live on YouTube as well. And then that's where the video will be like saved. I mean, I'll cut it out. I'll cut out the fillers and stuff, but which is basically just the beginning monologue. Yeah. Your parents are proud of me. Your parents are proud of all of us. Right? There's this one quote that I don't. It's not by true parents, but I can see how true parents live it out. So the quote goes like, it's okay. Hold on, let me just give a little bit of context. So it's a little booklet. It's a revelation from God. I think one of the church members, like had a spiritual revelation and then kind of wrote. I don't know if it was a church member or not, but anyway, basically it matches like my belief in God, like how God would speak to me, very lovingly, very not carefully, but like very lovingly. And so there's one part of it that goes like I love you, like it really like I love you, like I love you, but did you know that I like you too? Isn't that weird to say, or isn't that weird to think about? Like, you know, of course we all hear God loves you so much, but do you know that I like you too? I love your personality. You know, I love you, and I really like you on your best days, and on your worst days, I see through you. I see the pain that you're going through. I really think like true parents know, like yeah, true parents love us so much. God loves us so much deeply. Yeah. Did you know that God likes you too? Like he really likes you. And so like we can just be apologetic and think about like what we've been lacking. Maybe we have. But I think now is not the time to just feel like that, right? Offer devotion, that's important. But like, yeah, praying is important, but also, you know, True Father prayed a lot. True Mother prays a lot, but they also made a lot of foundations. They made a lot of, you know, things happen. And they loved a lot of people substantially. So anyway, that's just, yeah, we don't have time to feel sorry or to feel bad or to feel, yeah, let's encourage each other and build us up and build up this community again. I think that's what True Mother needs from us. She can't worry about her, not worry about her situation, worry about God's situation, worry about Korea's situation, and then on top of that, worry about our situation. You don't have time for that. We don't got time for that. Let's give Mother encouragement. Not that we're okay, like not whether we're just okay that she's, oh yeah, I'm okay that she's in, you know, she's in detainment now. No, like not like that. But let's really give her hope. Give her energy through that. Our effort to love our community better, or to love, you know, our witnessing efforts better, or to love devotion efforts better. Like Korea. Let's love Korea. Korea members are probably in the middle of it. So it's like members in America or members in Korea or Japan. Yeah. That's you know, we're in a ship, and right now the waters are tumultuous. Is that the right word? I don't think I quite pronounced that correctly. Tumultuous. It's not quite right. Something's weird. But anyway, yeah. Really, it's only when the water gets inside. So don't let the water get inside. Let's really keep floating strong and keep moving forward. Keep standing, keep floating, whatever analogy you want to hear, but I guess I'm using a boat right now, but yeah, keep standing strong. And yeah, that's it. I believe in it. I believe we can do it. Let's stand strong. If you, I don't know, share this. If this gave you hope, I shared a lot of different things, but this gave you hope, share it. I'll share it. It's an hour and a half. Maybe I'll edit it and cut it down. But yeah, I really, really Believe in it. All right. I love this community. And I know you guys do too. It doesn't mean it's without its problems, but it doesn't also mean that we can't fix it. And actually, if we fix it, what kind of community can we be? Even better, even more loving. Aju. So, okay. Yeah, hour and a half. I think that's all I have to say. So, yeah, praying for True Mother, pray for everyone. Prayer is always so powerful. And yeah, especially now. Let's ramp it up, yeah? All right. I love every one of you. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the stream now. Yes. So if you want to check back in it, if you're just joining in, just, yeah. Thank you so much. Big hugs. Sending home from Brazil. Love from Brazil. Thank you. Aju, love from everyone. Yeah, it'll be available on YouTube. I'll probably cut out some things, maybe edit it. All right. Have a wonderful day, a week, and let's support each other substantially, prayerfully. I love you all, okay? Let's make a beautiful community. All right? Encourage each other. Aju. Peace out. Peace out. Love all. Bless your faces. Bless each other's faces. Send hope to true parents and hope to each other. Aju. All right. Signing off.